Acting Director of Studies, Directing Staff, Senior Executive Course 42 2020. You're welcome. Good morning. Okay. That SEC 42 2020 have been conducting. The program is divided into 3 sessions. The first session will cover remarks by the management and our invited guests. Then the second session will focus on the presentation by the MG and the Committee of Chairmen. The presentation will share with us the findings of the research on population growth and human capital development, after which we'll invite our panelists to discuss the findings and share further insights that will help to improve the findings. That will take us to the third session, which is the closing. We'll have remarks by Dr. Judith Walker, Executive Director of dRPC, and then we have closing remarks by the Director General, Professor Abu Galadima, and the vote of thanks by Brigadier General CFJ Udaya Eminai.
Our distinguished resource persons and our technical partners, the dRPC, members of directing staff, fellows here present, distinguished participants, very good morning. Gradually, the program is coming to an end as we prepare to make our final report for presentation to Mr. President. In the last 2 years or so, we've had a very good partnership with dRPC running the Senior Executive Course Program. As NGOs that are focused on policy implementation, they found it necessary to partner with the National Institute and have a unique relationship that will not only produce very good policy recommendations, but chart a way of having those policies implemented. From last year, we started a process whereby towards the end of the program, course participants would be required to produce preliminary findings, which, courtesy of dRPC, experts would be brought in to look at the preliminary findings and make inputs into it. This is aside, of course, from the module review which you've conducted on each of the sub-themes, which will also be subjected to some external assessment. Or towards the end of the course, when the final, or when we are drafting the final report, dRPC will also bring another team of experts that will sit down with us and look at the recommendations, the report generally and particularly the recommendations and their implementability. So we are now at a stage whereby we'll look at the preliminary findings that you've prepared, and we'll have a team of experienced experts that will look at these findings and make inputs into it so that when you are doing the final parley report, you will take them into consideration. Let me, on behalf of the Director General, thank dRPC most sincerely for this strategic partnership. And let me also thank all the resource persons that are here with us this morning. Some of them have to travel through the night to be with us here. We thank God for joining masses, and I hope we will have a very, very wonderful discussions this morning that will set the stage for the final report we have produced or prepared for the consideration of Mr. President. Thank you very much, and God bless.
Institute, our distinguished directing staff, senior fellows, our highly distinguished panelists. These are esteemed panelists. Those of them you have met before, and some you are yet to meet them. I'm sure that we are very lucky to have the people assembled here to be part of this process. Distinguished participants, good morning. I'm quite pleased to have this caliber of panelists in our midst this morning to listen to your presentations on your preliminary findings on the theme for this year: population growth and human capital development, the opportunities and the challenges. And we hope that your preliminary findings are really findings and not just observations. And we hope that your conclusions, recommendations, and implementation strategies are usable, because those are the benchmarks that we use. Are they usable? We have the panelists that will help provide guidance as to whether what you are recommending, because some of them will be the end users, what you are recommending, whether they are usable or not. And I want to express our deep appreciation to Mrs. Judith Walker of dRPC for supporting the National Institute always at this point of need. Last year, dRPC supported the National Institute to come up with usable recommendations. And as we speak today, more than 3/4 of the recommendations have found space in the bill on national health insurance. And that bill has been passed by Senate, and the House of Representatives will also approve it, but will also pass the bill. And once it is passed, we believe that it will receive the blessings of the President. And so with this, it means that we can get our reports accepted and implemented by government, either through the executive or through the legislative arm. Whatever the case, what is important is to get the reports implemented. And so we thank the dRPC for this opportunity, and we hope that we'll continue to find better ways of ensuring that the end users get to make use of our usable recommendations. And I want to commend the efforts of the participants of SEC 42 for working very hard to come up with these preliminary findings. We are aware that there are components of the report that are yet to be concluded, particularly the study tours, the foreign study tour. And so we recognize that there may be gaps in that area, but that after this preliminary presentation, there will be another one after the tours. And we hope that we'll continue to improve on the document that you have. Please take all the corrections that will be made by the panelists. Their contributions will be very rich and that can enhance and improve the quality of the report that you have. On this note, I want to thank the panelists for honoring my invitation, and also everyone here present. Thank you.
This morning, I shall be presenting the preliminary findings on the theme of our study, which is the population growth and human capital development in Nigeria, challenges and opportunities. The outline of my presentation is as shown on the screen. Nigeria is one of the fastest growing countries in the world, with an estimated population of about 200 million. The country is the most populous country in Africa and the 11th in the world. The composition of the country's population is mainly in the youthful category, with a high dependency ratio. The ever-increasing population of Nigeria presents an opportunity for the development of our human capital. The federal government of Nigeria, in recognition of the crucial role of human capital development, formulated different policies, such as the National Population Policy, and established various agencies for the building the skills of our citizens. The government seems to be determined to manage their population growth through the improvement of our human capital development. It is against this background that the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Muhammadu Buhari GCFR, tasked the participants of the Senior Executive Course 42-2020 of the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies to research on the theme Population Growth and Human Capital Development in Nigeria, Challenges and Opportunities. The purpose of this presentation, therefore, is to stimulate discussions on our preliminary findings on population growth and human capital development in Nigeria. Nigeria is the most populous country in Africa and is currently the 7th most populous country in the world. Nigeria also has the largest population in Africa, and according to the National Bureau of Statistics, Nigeria had a population of about 200 million, and with an average annual population growth rate fluctuating between 2.6 and 2.8%. At this rate, Nigeria is projected to be the world's 3rd most populous country by the year 2050, with an estimated population of 402 million. That is coming after the nations of China and India. It is noteworthy that population growth rate in Nigeria is not uniform across the geopolitical zones. For instance, from the table shown on the screen, we found out that the average total fertility rate in the northern region is about 5%, compared to the average total fertility rate in the southern region, which is about 4.2%.
So, what I will focus on is exactly what I think may need to be emphasized. I know you will certainly come up with them, but you might not give them the emphasis that I think you should, that will address the real problems on the ground, in particular on population growth. So, the point is, the outline of the presentation are just simply 2 things. How best do we understand the problem? We have a problem. We know it's a problem. But how best do we understand the problem? What are the things we are likely to miss out? And then he touched on it, the need for a reliable and acceptable data. He's dished out some data that I know the presenter himself knows that is not in agreement with, in particular, the population figure you gave does not agree with what the National Population Commission is saying, and does not also agree with what the international community is saying about the population. So, where are we? There is need for us to have a reliable and acceptable data for both economic and demographic data in Nigeria.
I decided to do a situational analysis of our population dynamics in order to bring us to a point where we can see, and I think we're already saying that we know we're in trouble. This is the population of Nigeria I decided to go from 1960 when we got our independence from Britain, and then you could see that we were 45.2 million. In 2006, when we did the last census, we were 140.4 million. And then now, this projection is from the National Population Commission of Nigeria. You could see the gradual projection. And then look at the rates. In 1960, it was 2%, 2006, 3.2%, and we're still hovering around 3.2%. I agree with the last speaker, we don't seem to agree on data. NBS is spinning out one data, NPOPS is spinning out another data, some of us in development work are also spinning off our own data. And then we've always agreed there should be a consensus of data in Nigeria if we really have to move forward. Without information, managers are useless. You can only make concrete, determined, should I say, decisions if you have good data.
Now let's look at the policy trusts, because what you're going to do is going to inform policy change. And I've looked at some of the things that we need to do. First of all, we have to make philosophical decisions as a country. Do we believe that we are Nigerians, or do I want to say I'm an Igbo man before I say I'm a Nigerian? Or do I want to say I'm a Hausa man, a Fulani, a Yoruba man, a Job, tea, and gas? Of all the 350 ethnic nationalities we have in the country, do we want to say we are those people first, or do we want to say we are Nigerians? That's a philosophical decision that we have to make for us to be able to put focus on what things will work. So we need to make two deliberate decisions. One is one I have spoken about. Then the other one is a generational decision to turn our demographic crisis to a demographic prosperity. And let's go to the next slide. So, in doing those philosophical issues, there should be a national stability program that will bring the best human Nigerian ethos to the fore. We must find a way to improve the way we look at things. So there should be a deliberate policy of civility training and enforcement across the country. Next slide, please. In terms of drilling down to real things, fertility reduction, massive investment in formal and non-formal education, massive investment in infrastructure, both human capital development and healthcare sector, policies that would introduce ease of doing business so that all the burgeoning population of young people will be able to earn disposable income. And then, of course, policies that will ensure equity, fairness, trust, and a sense of security in the country.
So in Federal Ministry of Health, through the department that I head, that is the Family Health Department, we play a prominent and pivotal role in contributing to the improvement of the health indices in Nigeria. And I'm glad that the participants have identified two drivers that are related to our work. That is fertility, high fertility, which means high birth rates. Women are having more and more babies beyond the couple's capacity, beyond the system's capacity. Call it either health sector system, education system, infrastructural system. I think we are producing more than what we can cater for. That is why we are here. Secondly, we talk about mortality. That is death. Death of women, death of fathers, death of children themselves. But the most important death that has not declined is the maternal mortality. The reduction is so slow. If you look at the 10 decades, we have seen the statistics. 10 years ago, we've not made much progress. Someone presented 2017, we were at 917 or 912 for 100,000 births. Today we are at about, from 2018, NHS, we are at 512. And this is the national figure. If you go to the region, you go to states like Katsina, Zamfara, you can find as high as over 1,000 maternal deaths. You go to the far northeast, the story is the same. Then if we look at another areas of death that is happening, we know that reduction in mortality contributes to growth. But our reduction is not corresponding to the increased birth rates. So that is why it is not yielding results. So we are starting in some areas, and in some areas we are even getting worse. So if we take the children under 5, the reduction is not also much. We take the newborn, we are starting in the newborn. That is children born immediately up to 28 days. So we are not doing well. So our mission is to develop in the Federal Ministry of Health and implement policies and programs that improve the health of the family through efficient integrated health service delivery.
If we're going to write a policy paper to the president, is it key that we try to align whatever we have? Since we're scared of what 2050 will unfold, can we align all our recommendations into aligning it to the final report of the common plan that will be coming up, by which the committee set up will be eventually presenting to the president, so we don't have two disparate policy papers moving around, so we can actually try to get harmony. Next slide. Again, the problem of population growth in Nigeria is actually not that of numbers. It's actually that of human welfare. So we have a welfare problem, which means we have, just like Dr. Oji said, per capita income is very, very low and affects the welfare of citizens. And that is why we have high level of deforestation, desertification, climate change, destruction of natural ecosystem, the unemployment, pressure on housing, congestion, pollution. These are a result of high level of population with very low level of infrastructure, and also issue of resources. And that's one of the cultural reasons for the headers farmer crisis we're experiencing.
My name is Olakumi Ochoku, a general manager sponsored by NIPSS SEC. We have looked at the presentation, we have looked at all of the data, and like you rightfully said, there is a bit of conflicts in some of the data presented based on the source, obviously. However, a lot of the statistics we see there are things that have been going on for years. We have known these facts, we have these figures recorded, we have made attempts to try and address some of the challenges. What can we do differently? What policies can we embrace to ensure that this time we'll be making progress? And come 5-10 years time, our children, our junior ones will not sit down and be discussing the same thing we have discussed.
Okay, also, the question of the current contractors of Nigeria. My worry is the issue of economics. What I mean in this regard is how, because fund allocation, there are other competing needs, and the nation is broke. The nation is not productive enough. The resources are not available, and it becomes a binding constraint for resource allocation to this very, very important sector of health, education, and population growth. Because it creates, a paradox. What do we do?
Thank you very much. The Director General, Professor Habu Escalabino, the Director Staff present, Honorable panelists, distinguished participants of the SEC 42. I'm representing Dr. Julian Walker, the Executive Director of the dRPC, which is the Development Research and Project Center. The dRPC is currently anchoring the PAC Scale project, which is the Partnership for Advocacy in Child and Family Health. This is a social accountability project which aims to strengthen the capacity of Nigerian civil society to hold government in the executive and legislative accounts in the area of child and family health. We've been partnering with the National Institute for over a decade now, and in the last year or so, we decided to talk to the DG about hosting a pause and reflect session where this preliminary session was born. So far, the SEC reports recommendations are being taken into policy structuring, both at the legislature and in the executive, and this is good news. So this year, we hope that some of the findings that will be distilled from your learnings would also form the basis for some of the policies and the intentional process for Nigeria. So far we've been hearing from expert panelists, and I want to thank the Monitor General for an exquisite presentation. He actually outlined most of the issues that the expert felt were important for this year's topic. So much is expected from the SEC 42, and by the time you report to Mr. President and the line ministries as well as the parley members, we hope that some of this information we have distilled would form intentional processes moving forward. The undertone of some of the conversations I've been hearing to solving for human population growth and human capital development, some of the poignant things include solving for fertility rates. The numbers are a bit high and somewhat dismal, and Nigeria is heading towards a crisis. But we have to be intentional about family planning policies, family planning funding. We have to be intentional about some of these things, even human capital development. And this is why this pause and reflect session has been held. You are on course, and I hope that by the end of the SEC 42, the recommendations that should be churning out would inform some of these issues. I thank you. Thank you, the DG, for allowing us to partner with you. We look forward to a fruitful year for the SEC 42 and the recommendations for Mr. President and the line ministry. Thank you very much.
This has never happened before. I look at it like a new normal. Preliminary report on concluding seminar. It should happen, but it has never happened. So it's a new normal. Secondly, I really want to show my appreciation to Sec 42. You've done us proud. The resource persons, we can see your views, your perspectives on the issue, and you all came from various angles. And I think it's a very, very enriching interaction. And I'm sure this will go further in enriching the report. But just like the DG said, there's going to be another concluding seminar after the Thursday. And I imagine that will show be an improvement on what is happening here today. So once again, congratulations.
Thank you very much for expressing our deep appreciation to this distinguished panel of experts who have come all the way from different places to help provide direction to what the participants have started. I said have started so that they don't go back thinking that they have really gone very far. They have provided direction to what you have started, and there's still a very long way to go. The participants should consider that this is just the baby steps, and there's a serious need for more work to be done. You have to do a lot of problematization. That's very important. You have to also do a lot of more of the situational analysis, the trend analysis, and so you have to bring out the frameworks clearly, and both the policy, legal, and institutional frameworks. All of those frameworks have to come out strongly. We want to see the issues. What are the issues? What are the challenges? And so recommendations should cover most of this. And in the tradition of the National Institute, we don't just make recommendations. Those recommendations must be usable. It should be as such that the end users, or particularly policy makers, can just lift from your recommendation and go straight into implementation. And so it is important that you know that this is the beginning, and there will be a midterm report, and then there will be a final concluding seminar. You are going to go through series between now and November. And I believe in November, when perhaps your report would have been well cooked and ready for survey, I will invite this distinguished panelists to come again and see to see what you have cooked over time. If it is not well done, we have to go back again and again and again until we present the final report to the President. And so I want to thank especially Dr. Judith Ann Walker, the Executive Director of dRPC, for the partnership with the National Institute, for sustaining this partnership. It has been highly beneficial. I don't know whether it is mutually beneficial, but I know it has been beneficial. And I think that dRPC has supported this process right from the beginning of this year and up to this point. And I hope that that will be sustained. And I hope that our panelists, next time when they come, they should be prepared, as the DOS said, prepared to burn the night, stay through the night for several days. And luckily you are all doctors, medical doctors, so I'm sure you'll be able to advise on how we take care of ourselves. So on this note, I want to commend the participants also for putting up this work, and I'm sure that you have the capacity to dig deeper and bring up more of what we have brought up so far. I wish all the panelists joining us back to your respective destinations. We remain highly appreciative and highly indebted to all of you. Thank you very much.
Eminent panelists, management, members of directing staff here present, participants of Senior Executive Course 42 2020, good afternoon. I'm supposed to do the vote of thanks, but I think my job has been made a lot easier because every other person that has spoken today, in one way or the other, has thanked the panelists and dRPC for this session. However, I still want to say that the National Institute is very proud of our association with dRPC and for the synergy that our association with dRPC is likely to bring to this country in terms of policy development, advocacy, and as such, the National Institute is happy because of this and seriously thank dRPC for being able to organize this session. We thank you very much. For our eminent panelists, we thank you so much for bringing great insights into some of our preliminary findings, and we will take on board all of your recommendations and all of your thoughts on this very important subject, and we're happy to have you. And like the Director of Study Every said, we look forward to seeing you a lot more before the end of the year, before we send our report to the Mr. President. And equally, may I wish you joining us as to go back to your previous location. For our participants, I think it's a very great one that in just a short period of time we're able to put these thoughts together, and that we are on the right footing, and though, like the DG said, it's just the beginning. We want to congratulate you for this too, and then inform you that lunch is served. So after this, you just go for lunch. Having said that, I want to thank everybody here present and wish you good luck and joining us. Please keeping safe. Thank you.
Interaction. I wish everybody a nice lunch. Lunch is already